Welcome back everyone to another video. The RSI Antares, a variant of the Scorpius platform, is here for us in 3.18. I was lucky enough to get my hands on it for a quick little review, just to give my first impressions and my thoughts on the platform as it stands right now. Some things that I've learned, some strengths and weaknesses that you can expect from the ship, and also my personal input as an avid PvPer as to the use cases and why you're going to want to pick the Antares over ships like the Cutty Blue. What I've noticed about the Antares is it essentially is a Scorpius without a turret. But although it's not as effective as its brother, and in many dogfights against the Sentinel, the Scorpius, the Hurricane, and Vanguard variants, ultimately comes out on the losing end, the flexibility of the platform isn't really meant to be a dominant dogfighter. Its real strengths is its ability to stay in the fight while maintaining a dampening field within 2,000 meters. So for all the ships out there, the Mantis, the Cutty Blue, and now the RSI Antares, I would put the RSI Antares on top over the Cutty Blue as a better platform to use to interdict, catch, and hold people in a combat engagement. The Mantis is still the king, and with a high-skilled pilot, you can keep the Mantis in range of targets for quite a long time. But the RSI Antares is a really good platform, and in terms of its combat ability, it still has a chance to fight back and manage the engagement as best it can. Unfortunately, ships like the Cutty Blue just simply do not have the flexibility or the combat prowess to really maintain a credible threat on the field against trained, coordinated, and skilled pilots. You can kill almost anything in this game with almost any ship, but what I'm trying to tell everyone here is the Antares is a decent choice to pick against the trained, hostile enemy forces that you will be encountering in 3.18. There's a big saving grace for the Antares, and that's her top speed. It's faster than light fighters and all the heavy fighters, so it decides when and where it takes a fight. I cannot overstate this enough, how powerful this ability is to be able to manage, dictate, and decide when and where to take a fight. If you're up against a fighter that you know has a big advantage over you, it's better just to not take the fight. Some ships don't have that ability to disengage, whereas the Scorpius Antares does. So you will need to utilize this ability if you are the interdictor pilot. But because of your size 2 shield, decent maneuverability, high top speed, and decent tank ability, the RSI Antares is a good platform for catching and holding targets. Both the Mantis and the Cutty Blue struggle in this department. The Cutty Blue's engines fall off very quickly, which makes it very susceptible to enemy fire, and also once its engine's gone, the fight's pretty much over. The RSI Mantis struggles in this as well, since it's so brittle, any ballistic damage penetrating the shields is likely to break off a component and make the ship useless or render it ineffective. In a group or squadron environment, the RSI Scorpius Antares is the choice to pick for interdiction. Over the Cutty Blue, over the Mantis due to its durability, top speed, and overall tank ability. And on top of the fact, during the combat engagement, the Scorpius Antares will likely be able to contribute to the overall battle a lot more than ships like the Mantis. The nature of the Mantis is not to engage, it's to hold targets at long range and let the rest of the squadron pick away and engage whatever target that they've been able to interdict. The RSI Scorpius will be able to get in there and brawl with the squadron as well as hold the target down, which makes the RSI Scorpius Antares a nice ship to fly in a group engagement. If you expect to be winning dogfights in this ship, you'll be mistaken. Against coordinated trained light fighters, it's a very, very, very difficult fight. With the EMP from the second seater, you can mitigate the damage a single light fighter can do to you, but it's a really tough fight, although it is winnable. But as soon as you add 2 or more light fighters, your only option is to disengage. But thankfully, the Scorpius Antares has the speed to do it, so you don't have to take that fight because it is a losing fight for you. When it comes to other heavy fighters, there really is no chance. We tested against the Scorpius, we tested against the Sentinel, the Vanguard, the Harbinger, the Hurricane, and every light fighter we have. The Scorpius Antares lost every single fight multiple times, in atmosphere and in space. Against multi-crew ships, the Antares did fine. We were able to win fights very handily against Constellations, against Corsairs, and other multi-crew ships. But in terms of the combat ships, the Antares is not the first choice, and nor should it be. If it had the ability to hold people down EMP and win dogfights against dedicated dogfighters, we would once again have a meta ship, and it would just be the same problem over again. In conclusion, I'm very happy with the Scorpius Antares. It's maybe not the best ship in the repertoire, but in terms of the interceptor and interdiction capabilities, there's only 3 ships in the game, and the Antares, in my opinion, is a fantastic ship for this intended and specific role. The fact that you have 2 people in the ship may be somewhat disheartening for some folks, because the job of the second seater in the Scorpius Antares, well, it's not exactly a very difficult job pressing 1 or 2 buttons. So if there's something that you want to get involved with, if say you have a kid on your lap and you want to get him flying with you, then perhaps the Scorpius Antares is the position for him. But that's also due to the fact that a lot of the multi-crew functionality has yet to be concluded and finished and fleshed out. And when that happens, the second seater will have plenty of things to do to keep themselves busy. But for the time being, kick your feet up, have a couple beers, and enjoy the ease of access to gameplay you have in the second seat of the Antares, while the pilot does all the hard work. So in conclusion, I would put the RSI Antares in B tier for combat capability, along with the Hornet and some other ships. And I would also say that in the choice of 3 ships between the RSI Mantis, the Cuddy Blue, and the Antares, I'd say for the majority of the Star Citizen player base, you're going to have a much more successful time flying in the Antares than you will in the Mantis or the Cuddy Blue. Even though the Mantis is the ship of choice for interdiction with coordinated PvP groups, the Antares is still going to be more common than you might think. And especially with 318 coming around the corner and interdiction becoming a very staple part of the game, you're going to see a lot more Antares flying around. And if they're supported with a coordinated group of fighters, whether they be mediums, heavies, or lights, you're going to have a hell of a time making sure that you get away from that engagement. Because you cannot run from the Antares, and you cannot fight a multiple gang of people alone unless you have some training. Which is why we're here. These are just my initial reactions and thoughts on the RSI Antares. She flies and performs almost identically to the Scorpius. About the same G-forces, turn rates, response, jerk profile, just overall flyability is about the same as the Scorpius. It essentially is the Scorpius without a turret, with all the other abilities attached to it. So without further ado, thank you for listening, guys. I thank you for listening to my opinion on the Scorpius, which again is just my opinion, but it comes from a place of many hours of PvP gameplay and a 4-hour, 5-hour stream here where we just flew the Antares all day, getting into as many fights as we could. I'm still a fan of the Scorpius ships. I think this is a great addition to the game. I think it's going to be really important for people to understand that interdiction's here to stay and it's not going away. And you're going to have to learn to fight, because there are times where you're going to get into a fight and it's not going to go your way. Thank you so much, folks, for listening. Check out the Core Skills playlist if you'd like to get involved in PvP and you'd like a place to start and build your skill sets. And also, thank you so much to all the subscribers and everyone who's been coming by Twitch and the YouTube. I could not do this without you. Thank you so much for your time and your dedication, and I will see you folks in the next video. My name is Avenger1. And I'll see you next time.